Welcome to the UPIKE Coaches Show. I'm Alec Morgan, joined here today by Coach Corey Phipps. The Bears coming off back-to-back wins and most recently a 66-41 victory over Campbellsville in conference play. A great game by you guys, Coach.
Absolutely, it was. It was a fun game. You know, I guess the UK blue and white game inspired us to have a basketball-like score. So we got out there and got after it, but really proud of our guys.
So you guys got off to a slow start offensively, and then an 81-yard score by Derek Griffith from Xavier Malone, who also had a great week. We'll dive into that here shortly. That kind of ignited the offense, and you guys were off to the races after that. It was a high-scoring, dynamic game. We know your offense is capable of that, but your defense hung in there too.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was one of those situations where in that first quarter it never would have indicated a 66-point output there, but, you know, really everything was still there. As we got to the sideline, talked about it with our quarterbacks and Xavier, and we just kind of settled in. I knew if we could just get one big shot down the field and on first down there, that there was a chance for a score and a chance to get Xavier settled down and up and going. So that's what we did. He did a great job with it, and on the other end of that was Derek Griffith, who did a great job making a few people miss for the big score to get us up and moving.
In the second and third quarters, you guys scored on 6 of 7 drives, including that touchdown catch, a pair of rushing touchdowns for Jaden Neese, who also got some involvement this week. We saw a couple different guys on the ground game. You guys totaled 249 yards rushing. Alex Sanders with his third straight game over 100 yards. It seems like it's really becoming a symbiotic relationship between the pass and run game.
Yeah, absolutely. We've started to come together a little bit. You know, we've got some tough defensive opponents in these last 3 ball games, but you know, if we can keep getting better and putting one foot in front of each other like we have, we're really excited about it. You know, I think that Xavier, you know, understands how to get us in and out of some run checks and some run pass options, so that's helped as well.
And you guys have now won 3 Offensive Player of the Weeks, all been quarterbacks after 3 of 7 games this season. That speaks to your quarterback depth, which we've talked a lot about, and it seems like Xavier's really taken this role.
Yeah, unfortunately, being an old offensive lineman, I coach those guys like left tackles and right guards, and they kind of understand that it's a next man up mentality, and they're really good players, really understand the system. And it's been fun to watch those guys pull for each other. There's nobody that roots for each other on the field like our quarterbacks do.
Which is a really good culture to have. Let's shift gears and talk about the defense. 5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, season high in the sack category, and 4 pass breakups. Really impressive defensive showing once again. We talked about it last week. They're really starting to come together, and they're being confident. They're playing confident on the field, and that shows.
Yeah, absolutely. Our defense made stops when they needed to make stops. There were some times we were kind of bend, don't break. So, you know, giving up 41 points is always a kind of a shot in the arm. But at the same time, I really thought they played well when they needed to.
Let's talk a little bit about Tyrese Christian. I know it was kind of just a little bit at the end of the game. He had a big, long run that got taken back because of penalty, but that guy came in there and seemed like he had a point to prove.
Yeah, absolutely. All of our running backs, you know, who got the opportunity, you know, 3 of the 4 scored. Sanders, we've been ripping him all week, was the only one that didn't score, but still had a big day, and those guys got some opportunities at the end. But you know, we're excited to see a bunch of running backs play and a bunch of guys get opportunity at receiver as well.
Yeah, Cameron Brown's one of those guys. We're going to talk to him next. He had a pair of receptions for 101 yards. Derek Griffith had 141 yards and a pair of touchdowns. You guys scored 6 of your 10 touchdowns through the air, and like we said, Jaden Neese, a couple of those ground guys got involved, including Adrian Madako, who we really saw break through for one of the first times this season. Did it feel like you guys put it together more than you have in any other game, or was it just the circumstance?
Yeah, I think so. You know, I think we all felt good about our game plan, felt good about the shots they gave us. You know, they made some changes in the second half to open up the run game a little bit and some other guys an opportunity, you know, so they tried to make some halftime adjustments. We made some back and still had opportunity to score some touchdowns. You know, we 66 points. We missed 4 PATs. I felt like Shaq at the free throw line a little bit, but, you know, I can tell you that it was awesome to just kind of outpace those guys, and it's always fun when you look at the end of the day and you put up big stats, and really the quarterback's just the point guard. He's distributing to those guys and has the opportunity to stand back and say, man, you know, 10 or 12 of my guys touched the ball today, and that's because of me. So the yardage, the touchdowns are cool, but when you see guys here, you know, on second, third team on the depth chart who are scoring 2 touchdowns apiece, it just shows you that if we can get this thing up and going in our spread style of offense, a lot of guys can contribute.
Let's talk about the conference picture. You guys are currently sitting 4th and tied with 2 of your next 3 opponents in Thomas More and Faulkner. What's your obviously the goal is to do the best you can moving forward and win the rest of your games throughout the season. Have you thought about that? Have you thought about the conference picture yet, or is it week by week?
Well, we just want to rack up as many conference wins as we can. I think we've looked at the historical history here about how many games on average the UPIKE Bears have won, and we just want to be in the conversation that we're making incremental increases to make ourselves better. So you look at the conference opponents we've lost to, they're both nationally ranked teams. We've got a chance this week in a team that's had some pretty impressive wins that we've had success against before. To get up and going. They've got a defensive head coach, defensive minded, and we're a little bit more offensive minded. But we just want to get up there and have some success. We've looked at the film from last year. We've looked at all their opponents this year. They do some things well. They're improved in some areas, but we just want to make sure that we just take it week by week. I know that's cliche, but
sure.
I've really had to fight the urge to look ahead at the number one defense in the country and Lindsey Wilson, just focus on this moment. So if I can do it, I imagine the rest of our coaches and players can do it. Let's just settle in on this moment right here.
If you were to take one critical stance on the Campbellsville game, where would that improvement need to be?
Oh, absolutely the kicking game. You got to be able to make chip shots when necessary. So to me, it's pretty simple. We got to get better in the PAT field goal area, and make some improvements there. We've made some improvements in protection. Now we just got to get those guys going. I joked with our kickers who are here today enjoying a free meal that last week they get a free meal based on punting and kickoffs, and that's awesome. And you're gonna have to wash dishes off the PAT field goal game. So we'll get those guys straight. A lot of it's a mental game, just like a golfer. So I think the comparison to chip shots is probably probably accurate.
Speaking of golf, you probably haven't had a lot of time to golf in these last few months.
No, I haven't. But I dream about one day being able to do so. Maybe Kelly Wells give me some lessons. And
Back with Cameron Brown, wide receiver for the Bears. Cameron, 2 receptions for 101 yards and a pair of touchdowns, including a big long touchdown in that game against Campbellsville. You guys really lit it up offensively.
Yes, sir. I just want to thank Zay and all my teammates. We had a great game that day, and I'm blessed to be here. So,
what's it like to have, and I feel like I've asked every wide receiver that we've talked to so far this season, what's it like to have a stable of quarterbacks like you have? Now Xavier's stepping up, and he's that guy. He's getting Offensive Player of the Week. Before that, it was Lee. And as Coach Phipps alluded to, these guys are the most supportive of each other. Is that true? And how does that affect you guys in the wide receiving corps?
It's most definitely supportive. It's actually crazy how much has moved around, but it's the fact that they are always working hard. They always really put that work in, and it's always next man up, and then every time they get up, they fulfill and they work and they go hard in the game, and it's crazy. And then with the receiver corps being supportive of each other, we always ready, and I love to see it. So
yeah, it's exciting, man, and
so.
it's a really fun brand of football to watch too, because you guys have several weapons, yourself and Derek Griffith and a bunch of others to name. You guys currently leading the Mid-South Conference in passing yards, touchdowns, and yards per game. But if you were to be critical of one part of the offensive scheme, particularly the passing game, where would that be? Where would that improvement need to be?
I honestly just believe that we should always stay more consistent, especially with how we're performing. I think we're performing great, but we just got to stay consistent throughout these next 3 games and continue to, just run routes hard and catch the ball and get upfield and, keep scoring how we doing.
So would you say individually, what's been your major key this year? What did you think you need to improve on, whether it was route running, whether it was locker room stuff, academics, and what was that one point of focus?
I'm more of a everything. I focus on every single thing. Like, everything is critical to success. So even you got to make the catch, you got to get upfield. I'm critical on every single aspect of my game. So especially academics, I have a 3.4, and I continue to stay on top of my academics. And I go to practice, make sure I go 110 every game and every practice, and just translate into the game. So I'm critical on everything. It's not really one thing. So.
And how is the academic side? How's school going?
It's pretty good.
Talk a little bit about your major.
I'm majoring in business management, and it's actually going pretty good right now. I own my own business as well, so.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
So talk about your business a little bit.
Oh, it's called The Visionary Team. I have a clothing brand, and I've been.
I think I've seen that on Instagram, actually. I'm not lying. I really have.
Yes, sir.
Rashad is part of that too, right?
Yep, he has a hat. Yeah, a lot of the players have bought some things from me. I've started in July 2022, and I'm just continuing to go with it. I'm just now dropping hoodies and.
Really?
Yeah.
Where can people find it?
You can find it on my Instagram at thevisionaryteam.com, and you can actually go on my website, and I'm dropping it soon. So.
All right, man.
It. Yes, sir.
That's really exciting. Well, Cameron Brown, thanks for joining us. Check out the merch. We'll put a link in the description for that, and we will be back here with Matthew Horn on the UPIKE Coaches Show.
Thank you for having me.
Who brought the sauce?
I brought the sauce.
Who made the sauce?
I made the sauce.
Okay.
Oh, you want my sauce? Get your hands off my wall. I got the recipe. Hit 100 degrees.
Welcome back to the UPIKE Coaches Show. We are here with Matthew Horn. Matthew, a big part of the defense that recorded 5 sacks this week. You yourself, 1.5 sacks, costing the Tigers a total of 14 yards. Talk a little bit about the defense's progress these last couple games. You guys have been stellar.
Yeah, well, on the defensive front, we have me, Josh, and Mawson, which we've been playing together for the past 4 seasons now. Great chemistry up front, and just the front seven as a whole, great chemistry. And our DBs do well, and we got Deuce Morton, leading tackler on our team with probably 70, I'd say. And we got Anthony Grant. And, our defense has just come to play the last few weeks, and hopefully we can go 1-0 this week.
Do you feel confident that the pieces have started to come together for the defense?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're starting to click on a whole nother level, and just with the help of Coach Elliott, I mean, our defense is coming together, and I'm excited for this week.
So what's the focus going into this Thomas More game? What have you guys been drawing up?
Well, I mean, they're 50-50. They're going to try to be 50-50, but, we're going to try to stop the run as always and get them out of their comfort zone and see what they can do on passing. So, and then we'll shut that down as well.
All right, so what about you? We've talked a lot about football. Let's talk a little bit about how's things going academically. What's your major, first of all?
I'm actually a double major, and it's criminal justice and psychology with a sociology minor.
Really?
Yeah.
So talk about balancing that with football, especially mid-season. I'm sure it's not always easy.
Oh, yeah, it's very tough, and I'm taking 16 hours this semester.
Wow.
So you got to balance that, obviously, with football, but I've been here for – this makes my 4th year, so.
You know the drill.
Yeah, I know the drill, so.
So what's the plan once you graduate?
Hopefully there's a prison in Martin County off Route 3, and hopefully I'm going to be a CO there, and hopefully I could just move up the ranks.
Yeah. So where's the end-all goal? Is that like warden?
Yes.
Yeah?
For sure. Yeah, I'm
warden?
going to try to be a warden for sure.
You want to run the show one day?
Yep.
All right. Well, Matthew, thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate having you. That was Matthew Horn. We'll be back with Coach Phipps talking Thomas More here on the UPIKE Coaches Show.
So what we're looking at here is your area right here in your neck. We're identifying where you have subluxation. So what you want to do is come to this side. We're going to come right here. Great adjustment. Right here. We're going to come in. Great adjustment. And right here. Great adjustment.
Welcome back to the UPIKE Coaches Show. We're talking Thomas More, the Saints, with Coach Phipps. What are we looking for? Lay it out for us.
Well, I mean, first, the guys want to know why you ate all the wings on the break.
It's been a long day. I'm hungry.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're a big kid.
They had a Parmesan garlic sitting out, and
just couldn't help yourself. I'm an Asian Zing guy myself, but I don't know.
I come around on that.
Yeah. But Thomas More, they're a good ball club. Like a lot of us. Right in the thick of things, 500. They've lost the one FCS Division I opponent in Duquesne, but if you look at it, they've beat some similar opponents like Cumberland, Tennessee, and they had a really close one against Bluefield. They had a win against Kentucky Christian and kind of wild one there at the end. So, Chris Norwell does a great job. First year as head coach, longtime defensive coordinator there. And they're getting ready to transition to Division II, so they're starting to stockpile some really good players that'll help them in that transition. And we just hope to say goodbye to them as they exit the NAI with a win.
How will your defensive scheme change? You said it was kind of a mixed bag when we were talking off air with Thomas Moore.
You look at it, we can be big and stop the run, and we can get an extra defensive back on the field in a kind of NFL style dime or nickel package and try to get people stopped that way with a little bit more speed and skill. But I think Coach Elliott does a good job of keeping things simple, keeping everything in front of you, making the offense really force them to execute all the way down the field. If we can limit the big plays, I think offensively we're starting to find a rhythm, and if we don't, if we falter a little bit, we feel like our defense is good enough to get some stops and so we can figure some things out.
What do you think the back foot is, or the Achilles heel of your offense right now is?
Oh man, that's tough to say. I think there's always every week it seems something different pops up and that's what's fun about coaching and exciting is you feel like you get one thing fixed and you spring a leak somewhere else and you got to run over there and get that fixed, and it's like kind of like being a plumber in an old house. You got to fix it as it arises. But we feel like our system is such that we can run the football at times when we need to and throw it when we need to. So based on what the box numbers are, how many guys are near the football is what we're going to make a decision on in terms of what we do.
In last week's game against Campbellsville, it honestly felt like like I said before, the run game and the passing game were complementary, and it was fun to watch. You guys were playing a fun brand of football. If you were to pick one play out of that entire game that you remember and it was your favorite play, throw it.
There were a lot of wide open balls based on some scheme, but just in terms of guys executing and making big plays, I think it might have been maybe our second or third touchdown pass in the first half. There was a corner route that Rashad Brown really flattened out, and it was right out of a timeout that Campbellsville called, and we brought him to the sideline and said, hey, we've scored off this play a couple times, had some big plays, so they're going to jump that, and this guy's going to be wide open, and he wasn't wide open. But we still fit the ball through, Division I NFL caliber football to a guy who got one toe down in the end zone, and it'll be an awesome highlight on our highlight reel. So to me, that would have been my favorite play in the ball game.
Okay, let's talk one last thing. Let's talk a little bit about Xavier. He's kind of stepped up. He's your guy now. You're riding with him.
Yeah, right now, we're still nursing a couple injuries in the quarterback room, and he is the guy. He's going to get the start, and it's exciting for him. He came in and made some big plays against Cumberlands to get the win. Last week, had a complete game where I thought he was a little nervous in the first quarter and then settled in just like a champ. And, in the last 6 quarters of play, I think he's thrown 10 touchdowns and about 600-plus yards. So, if we throw for 5 yards and he hands it off to the right box this week and wins, that's great. If he comes out for another big game and shows people who he is, I think it's awesome. I think really to their credit, what this is going to help us in recruiting offensively is as we recruit young quarterbacks who want to come in redshirt and develop, that they understand that there's been multiple quarterbacks that are truly successful in our system, multiple running backs touching the ball, a whole bunch of receivers catching touchdown passes. It just creates an exciting environment for us to recruit guys to come to our system. So those guys aren't just helping themselves and helping us in the season right now. They're helping us 4 or 5 years down the road with what they're doing right now.
And those recruits need to know, these guys aren't just having success. They're breaking records. And 6 touchdown passes in his first collegiate start, that's impressive. Lee Kirkland started the season in back-to-back games, had Mid-South Conference Player of the Week. So these are really, truly impressive numbers. And I think next year when we reflect back on this and we're talking to wherever you are at that point with the team, I think the development that this team has made through the games this season has been apparent, and it's been impressive,
absolutely.
Really, truly.
And hopefully we can finish it on a good 3-week stretch here. You got to stay healthy, you got to get some luck, you got to execute those things. But it's always awesome too when you have former players that have played for you at different places and different stops along the way. You turn into our live stream and see those guys throw, and they say, "Hey, Coach, I saw on Missouri Z, he fit the touchdown pass." Tell those guys are doing a great job playing quarterback. So, I think what we do is quarterback friendly. It's offensive line friendly. It's fun to watch. Some people ask me as an old offensive lineman, why do you like to throw the football? I said, well, I can remember sitting in practice watching a bunch of guys, run go routes all practice until they were, dead-legged and going, man, we're going to turn around and hand it off to one dude 40 times this week. That joker knows he's never getting the ball. So, I just like to see basketball and grass, a bunch of guys running around, rooting for each other, pulling for each other, and I think that's good for the camaraderie offensively.
Yeah, and we'll look forward to it. The Bears take on Thomas More in Crestview Hills on Saturday at 1:30. Coach, any final thoughts?
Just come root us on, make the trip, and come see the Bears.
And look forward to the reveal of the locker room. We just went in, took some footage, welcomed some people on campus. The Bears have a really, really nice thing going on in there, and we will showcase that. It'll also be available on our website. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.